Every house has a smell, and you cannot smell your own. But you know the one I mean, because you have met it in other houses, that damp towel smell that hits you in the entryway, the one that lives in the closet corners and behind the washing machine, the one that comes up the basement stairs like a wet dog. Musty. Heavy. A little sour. Folks light candles over it, spray perfume at it, plug machines into the wall to fight it. A good dehumidifier costs $200 and drinks electricity all summer like a second refrigerator, and by August the smell is back anyway. Now let me tell you about my cellar. It is a hole dug straight into the wet Pennsylvania earth, lined with stone 140 years ago. No plastic barrier. No fan. No machine. By every modern rule it should smell like a swamp. Come down the steps and breathe. It smells like apples and cold clean stone, and it has smelled that way through 140 summers, every one of them more humid than the inside of your house has ever been. My name is Jonas, and I am Amish, and today I am going to take you hunting. Not for an animal, for that smell. We will track it room by room through a modern house the way you track anything. Find where it drinks, find where it sleeps, and take both away. Along the road I will hand you the old tools, a $4 jar that drinks water out of the air, an $8 bag of the white powder my people have painted on damp walls for 2 centuries, and a handful of habits that cost nothing at all. And hold this question till we reach the cellar at the end, because I promise it is the one thing everybody, does exactly backwards. When you want to dry out a damp room, when should you open its windows? You think you know. Hold it. The hunt starts with an honest count, because before you can dry a house you have to know where the water comes from. Here is the number that changes how you see your own rooms. A family of 4 puts better than 2 gallons of water into the air of their house every single day. Your own breath, all night long, a pint per sleeper. The pot boiling with no lid, a pint of steam into the kitchen air in 20 minutes. The hot shower with the door open. The laundry drying on a rack in the hallway. A wet load carries half a gallon of water, and every drop of it goes into your walls. 2 gallons a day, poured into a closed box, day after day. The smell is not a mystery, friend. The smell is a bucket being filled faster than it empties. And mold is just the moss that grows on the banks of that hidden river. Keep the air above about 2/3 full of water, the number on a cheap gauge reads 65, and mold tends to bloom in any corner where the air stands still. Keep it below, and mold struggles to take hold. That is the whole war on one line: pour in less, carry out more. And you do not need to buy the gauge to know which side of the line you live on, because your house tells you every morning if you know where to look. Walk to your bedroom window at sunrise, before anyone opens a door. Beads of water on the inside of the glass, not outside. Inside, mean the night air of that room was carrying more water than it could keep, and the coldest surface in the room confessed it. Fog in the bottom corners of the pane, you are near the line. A clear dry pane, you are winning. The old folks read their windows the way a sailor reads the sky, and it costs nothing and it never lies. Check it tomorrow morning, and now you know your enemy's size. So pour in less, first, because it is free and it starts tonight. Lids on the pots, that alone keeps pints out of the air every supper. The bathroom door closed while the shower runs and the little window in there open, so the steam goes outside instead of into the hallway. And the laundry, I know the dryer costs money to run, and the old way agrees with you. Our wash has never once dried inside the house in summer. It dries on the line in the yard, where the sun does the work free of charge and throws in that smell no bottle has ever managed to copy. If you have a balcony, a porch rail, a single line over the back steps, hang it out. Moving 2 gallons a day out of your air without touching a switch, that is not a trick, that is just refusing to water your own walls. Now we hunt the standing still places, because water in the air only becomes mold where the air stops moving. Open your closet, the packed one, coats shoulder to shoulder against an outside wall. Cold wall, still air, a little moisture, that is a mold nursery, same as a bottle cap is a mosquito nursery. The old houses fought it with space and air, wardrobes stood on legs, pulled a hand's width off the wall, never packed past what could breathe. Pull your furniture 4 fingers off every outside wall tonight, the dresser, the bed, the couch, and you have opened a road for air behind every one of them. And into that closet goes the first old tool, the $4 jar. Take a wide-mouthed jar or a coffee can, punch the lid full of holes, and fill it with coarse salt, rock salt, the cheap bag, or the road salt pellets sold as calcium chloride, which drink even harder. Salt pulls water straight out of the air, the same way it pulls the juice out of a cucumber. Set one in each closet, one behind the washing machine, one in the pantry corner. In a damp week you will pour liquid water out of that jar, water that was headed for your coats, and when the salt cake's solid, you spread it on a pan in the summer sun for an afternoon and it wakes up ready to work again. The old folks hung linen bags of it in every wardrobe. $4, no cord, works in the dark. Its quiet brother is the charcoal box, and it earns its place wherever the smell has already moved in. Plain lump charcoal, the natural kind, not the briquettes soaked in lighter fluid, piled in an open box or a tin with holes. Charcoal is a sponge with a million rooms in it. It drinks moisture like the salt does, but it also grabs the smell itself, the mustiness, right out of the air and holds it. That is why the old iceboxes kept a lump of charcoal on the shelf, and why a box of it in a musty pantry or under the basement stairs clears the air in a week where a scented candle only argues with it. When it tires, it takes the same cure as the salt, an afternoon in hot sun and it is new again. A bag from the grill aisle runs a few dollars and outlasts the summer. The second old tool is the one your great-grandmother would recognize on sight, because half the old world was painted with it, whitewash. Burnt lime and water, the same pale coat I told you about on the barn roofs when we cooled the attic, but down here it has a different job. Lime is fiercely alkaline, and mold struggles to grow on an alkaline wall. That is why every old dairy, every spring house, every cellar and cold pantry from Pennsylvania to the old country was whitewashed spring after spring. Not for beauty. It is a coat of armor that mold has a hard time taking hold on. An $8 bag of hydrated lime from the farm store mixes with water in a bucket, brushes on like thin paint, and turns a stained, musty basement wall into a bright surface that stays clean for years and sweetens the air as it cures. The modern paint aisle sells mold-resistant paint for $40 a gallon. The old dairies solved it for pennies a wall, 200 years before anyone printed the word mildew-proof on a label. Pour in less. Trap what you can. Now the big one, carry the rest out, and this is where your question comes due. When do you open the windows of a damp room? Everybody answers the same, on a warm day. It feels right, warmth dries laundry, so warmth must dry basements. And so, on the first hot muggy afternoon of summer, half the country throws open its cellar windows and doors, to air the place out. And here is what actually walks down those stairs, air at 90 degrees, carrying all the water hot air loves to hold, straight into a room whose stone and concrete sit at 55. You know what happens when summer air meets a cold glass of lemonade, the glass sweats. Open the cellar on a hot humid day and every cold wall in it becomes that glass. The water leaves the air and films onto your stone, your joists, your boxes of keepsakes. You walked upstairs feeling virtuous, and you left the cellar wetter than you found it. That is the backwards habit, and it has ruined more basements than any flood. Warm day airing waters a cold room. The old rule is 4 words, air the cellar cold. Open it on the cool dry nights, the crisp evening after a front blows through, the dry snap in early fall, the cold clear morning. Cold air is poor air, it carries almost no water at all, and when it drifts into the cellar and warms up to room temperature it turns thirsty, and it drinks your walls dry on the way back out. The same English neighbor I once walked mosquito nurseries with learned this one the expensive way. He finished his basement, carpet, drywall, the works, and that first muggy June he did the natural thing, propped the walkout door open all afternoon, every warm afternoon, to give it fresh air. By August there was a gray bloom crawling up the drywall behind his couch and the carpet padding smelled like a pond. The remediation men in their white suits charged him more than his first car had cost, and on the way out, one of them gave him the same 4 words I just gave you, arid cold, because those men see the warm day habit behind half the basements they are paid to gut. Now his cellar door stays shut from June to September, he opens it on the cool dry nights of fall, and the gray bloom has never come back. The fix cost him nothing. The lesson cost him $4,000. I am giving it to you for free. My grandfather opened the cellar vents on October nights and shut them tight on July afternoons, and that is precisely the opposite of what the modern homeowner does, and it is precisely why his 140-year-old dirt-floored cellar smells of apples and yours smells of towel. Same physics as the night flush cooling I showed you, the old folks always let the night do the work, only here the night is carrying out water instead of heat. And where the air will not move on its own, make it move, the old houses did. Doors inside a house were left open over the summer, top floor windows cracked on dry days so the whole house breathed as one chimney, the way we pulled heat out of the attic, the same draft carries water. A damp corner room got its door propped and its window cracked a finger's width, not thrown wide, a slow steady change of air beats a gale once a week. And under the old houses there were vents in the skirting, crawlspace breathers, that got opened in dry weather and closed in wet, and if your house has them, they are worth finding under the shrubbery, because a sealed wet crawlspace will feed a musty smell up through the floors for years and let you blame the carpets for it. So walk the hunt back with me, and watch the bucket empty. 2 gallons a day stopped at the source, lids, closed bathroom door, laundry on the line. The still corners opened, furniture off the walls, wardrobes breathing. The salt jars drinking in the closets for $4. The lime coat on the cellar walls that mold struggles to take hold on, for $8. The windows worked by the old rule, arid cold, never hot, so the house exhales water instead of swallowing it. And a slow draft through the whole box on every dry day. Not one machine. Not one filter to buy. The dehumidifier in the store fights the river at the bottom, the old way turns the river off at the top, and what little is left, the salt and the lime and the cold night air carry out the door. Mold has a hard time taking hold in a house run like that, it never gets its 65, it never gets its still corner, and it never gets its wet wall. Tonight, do the free half, lids on, bathroom door shut, pull the furniture off the outside walls, and if the evening comes cool and dry, open the damp room and let the night drink. This weekend, $4 of salt in jars and, if your cellar needs it, $8 of lime on a brush. Then in 2 weeks, stand in your entryway, close your eyes, and breathe in, and come tell me in the comments what your nose finds. And tell me this too, because I collect them, what is the dampest, mustiest corner in your house right now? Describe it, the closet, the north bedroom, the space under the stairs, and I will tell you which of the old tools fits it first. I read every word down there. Before long the nights will turn cold, and then the same cellar that fought us all summer becomes the best room in the house. I will show you why when the season comes. Until then, pour in less, arid cold, and let the salt and the lime stand guard. The old ways still work.